Welcome to the Everything Is Earned podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
I am Tim, your co-host.
And we're here to break down everything happening in your Cleveland sports world as usual. So today we got some stuff going on. We wanted to kind of talk about the Browns' current state of the roster and where we're at with what needs we still have to fill, and what players we end up losing in free agency thus far. So looking at the roster, I mean, you've made some big improvements. You've added guys like Austin Hooper, Jack Conklin. You've added some veteran presence, on both sides of the ball. What do you think right now is a player you need to address?
A player that we already signed?
No, a position group you want to address.
Well, we need to address linebacker for sure, and then offensive tackle spot as well. We got Conklin, but we do, whether it be signing another veteran or through the draft, drafting at left tackle spot, that needs to be filled immediately this offseason.
So if you don't go through the draft, who are your options right now at this point? I mean, it sounds like you're going to go through the draft, but if you don't, who would you look at?
Well, I think at this time, most of the better options are filled, but we do have an older Jason Peters still available. I know he's 38, but he's been a Pro Bowl in the past. I mean, he's a little bit taller.
Super Bowl winner
too with the Philadelphia Eagles. He is, I want to say 6'7", 6'8". So I don't know if that would be an issue or something that would defer the Browns into going after him, but that's something to think about with Baker Mayfield only being 6 foot. Maybe 6'1" and choose.
I'll tell you this. I have a couple people I know who are avid Eagles fans, and when I talked to them about losing Jason Peters, they were pretty upset about it. They were like, this guy has been consistently good throughout his career with us. Really sad to see him go. Really kind of bummed out they couldn't keep him because he's been so consistently good. Trent Williams is another option there. I know we spoke about that the other day. If he becomes a free agent, could he be someone you'd look at?
Oh, definitely. I mean, John Dorsey was looking at in various ways during the season before the trade deadline, and if we can get him for nothing or don't have to give up any one of our assets to obtain him besides some money, then you'd have to pursue him, because when he's healthy and when he's not he was very upset with Washington, and I know the medical staff, they had an issue between Trent did with Washington and the medical staff. He believed they were trying to push him back sooner than he was ready, and then he started to lose trust in that and what was best for him, both health-wise and with financially.
Now, they had hoped when the new coaching staff came on board that they could mend the relationship there, but Trent still wants a trade or wants out, whether it be by trade or free agency. So what I think will end up happening with those two guys, with Jason Peters and with Trent Williams, is I think it's going to end up being later after the draft, or likely like in somewhere early in training camp where someone realized, hey, this guy we have at left tackle is not going to work out, or maybe there's an injury where they get picked up. But I wouldn't be opposed to having either of them. That's just always your concern is, do you make it to week 8, week 9, week 12, and you have your left tackle go down? Then what do you do?
Well, that's obviously not a good position to be in. I mean, we solidified our future in case someone goes down. In case Baker Mayfield goes down with Case Keenum's, we can still be relevant in that later half of the season, or maybe beginning of the playoffs if we make it there. But I think what you mentioned something that's very important is you can bring out these young guys from the draft, but if you're midway through training camp, you're like, oh, I don't think he's going to be ready week 1. Then you might be able to grab one of those veterans and Jason Peters or Trent Williams and start him for the first 6-8 weeks until you get your new guy top to speed with the NFL game.
That's a pretty good point. I like that idea just because allows you to learn from a guy who's done it before, and allows you to kind of bring a younger guy up to speed, especially if it's a guy who needs a little bit of work. You're at that 10th pick, but you definitely could move back and then still end up getting your guy at from an offensive lineman standpoint. But I think I think you're taking a little bit of a gamble when you pick up a guy like that without having a guy behind him ready to go. Because we've seen left tackle be great in Cleveland with Joe Thomas obviously over the years, and then over the last couple of years we've seen how glaring it can be when you don't have a left tackle, especially with guys like Robinson and who else played the left tackle guys. I mean, just a couple guys.
Chris Hubbard.
Yeah, it just not a good look when you don't have a good solid option at left tackle.
I think to address it in both ways, both for long-term future, whether it be in the third or fourth round at tackle, and to groom him maybe for a few years or 1 or 2 years while we initiate the veteran guy to fill in short term. So that'll be interesting to see how Andrew Bailey and the rest of the front office handle that. But there are all other positions to fill. We mentioned wide receivers as being one. And a guy that's still out there, former Clevelander, short guy, speedster, played here before, Taylor Gabriel.
I like that. Turbo, as they call him?
Yeah.
It's a good idea, honestly. I liked him quite a bit when Kyle Shanahan's offense in both in Cleveland and Atlanta, because he had played for my Falcons at some point. Got a nice contract over with Chicago, and they never really figured out how to use him because Trubisky's garbage.
He's not super old. He's 29, so he has some life into him. You mentioned before the show that he's probably gonna want to be in a winning situation, which would be perfect to have a veteran guy who's been in Cleveland before, who's been in the atmosphere, who understands the fan base and just kind of the atmosphere to what it takes to win in the city, and just apply that to the new guys and maybe come back and help be part of a winning culture.
Do you know who I think ends up getting him if the Browns don't? He'll probably go to the Eagles because they like short guys.
Or Tampa.
Eagles like short guys. Tampa likes short guys too. Real possibility that those are both places he could end up. But I think that Cleveland is an interesting option, but he's probably going to go somewhere else who's going to have a chance to winning. I don't know how much he loved Cleveland. I remember him thanking Cleveland quite a bit. I remember him being quite a bit of a fan favorite. So Cleveland, if interested, it could be a nice landing spot for him. And I think he gives you a little bit of a game-breaking factor. Gabriel can break loose and he's really crafty, and he's tough to bring down because of his size and speed.
I think he'd fit well as a fourth or fifth option on this team. Because in Stefanski's offense, those quick cuts, the slants, the drag routes, like the underneath behind the defense, like spots, is when all that attention's on OBJ and Jarvis and Hooper and Njoku, he can really maybe have a breakout play here and there.
A speed guy coming out the flats is a nice idea. I don't mind that at all.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely a nice option there. I think that's a really good point you make about him being still available. One of the things that happened recently, if you look at who the Browns have lost through free agency. I mean, obviously Schobbert's a big one, but more recently, Demarius Randall got signed by the Raiders, and I can't say that I'm sorry to see him go, because honestly, if I really think about it, he gave us a half a good season, in Baker's rookie year in 2018, and then he was garbage all of 2019 and didn't do anything of merit. He mostly blew coverages and complained about things and created drama.
Well, he became a fan favorite after he handed the ball to Hugh Jackson.
It was a great move.
And then he was solid during that 8-game stretch in 2018 after we fired him and Haley. But then the Browns fan, I think, got in their heads that he's a little bit better than he was because he became that fan favorite, and kind of messed with the mindset of how much he's really worth. And I think it was smart to let him go, not overpay.
Yeah, I think at this point, that was a great move to not re-sign him. I think he'd worn out his welcome here. I don't think any fan was particularly sad to see him go. So
his inconsistencies, his drama, and just quitting on the team, you don't want that in this culture. We don't need it in any culture, let alone this Cleveland Browns culture, who's had issues for the last 20 years.
Sure. Now, looking at kind of the big topic here is defensive line. There's been a lot of discussions going on here about Everson Griffin and Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney and Griffin are both really interesting options. I think I like Clowney better just because of the pass rushing ability he gives you, and he is a top tier talent. When looking at the at the possibility of it happening, they're not far off money wise. I mean, you have Vernon's contract that's $15 million that you lose right away if you cut him, and then pick up Clowney's contract like we talked about the other day. And the Browns actually had spoke with Clowney pretty recently. They've actually gained some pretty good traction. According to reports.
To ESPN, yeah. But it did fall through. It didn't go anywhere. But apparently, it went the farthest in Cleveland over a few other teams.
Right, so that speaks pretty good. I think where everyone's running into is they're not getting the sack production out of Clowney that they want, and his asking price is really heavy. So you look at his sack production, only 3 sacks last year, but Pro Football Focus ranked him as a top 10 defensive lineman in terms of stopping the running game. So that's a big stat there, and for a team that needs some more run protection like the Browns, as soon as they lost Garrett last year, they got ran all over. And having a guy like Clowney on the line would be really, really nice.
On the opposite side of him.
And Vernon went down too. So I mean, there's definitely and he got thrown out of the one game. Didn't he get thrown out the one game?
Who?
Vernon, for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Potentially, yeah.
I feel like he did. Or maybe it was Sheldrick,
maybe
Richardson.
Maybe he was just gone like mentally and physically in the game because he didn't produce at all. It almost felt like he was out of the game.
He had a really nice start to the season, and I think he tapered off quite a bit. But Garrett needs another person on the line that can slow down the run, and I think Clowney would be a nice option. But he's asking for between 17 and 20 million. Really would like to keep him more in that 15 to
underneath
16 range.
Yeah.
I think that's really what they're kind of looking to sign him for. So we'll see if what materializes with that. But I really like Clowney as an option. I think whenever you can bring a top tier talent like that in, especially into a system that is adding talent and is going to be really competitive, I think it's a great idea.
I think they'll just end up going with somebody in the draft that they're very high on someone's potential. Maybe I'm not thinking of anyone specifically, but maybe there's someone is a physical freak in the draft at defensive end who has this enormous potential with his physically and athletically that they might be able to pair with Myles Garrett, and maybe have Myles Garrett just kind of help him out and teach him how to be a professional.
We're not going to get Chase Young. I'll tell you that, not going to get Chase Young in the draft.
I would love to Chase Young, but that's a pipe dream for sure. But I don't know if you've seen. I think it wasn't in Building the Browns. It was, what was the other one? The one that the Raiders were on with Gruden and all that stuff. I can't. What was is it the summer or the training camp program?
Oh, you're talking about the HBO program?
What is it called?
The Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks.
I love Hard Knocks, man. I would do Hard Knocks here again in a heartbeat.
I think, if you guys remember on Hard Knocks, Myles Garrett was tutoring up, I want to say, Nassib really hard before we got
Nassib
cut.
got signed big money this year.
Before he got cut. And then he had a pretty solid season over in Tampa Bay. It was like 6 or 7 sacks.
Carl Nassib had a really nice.
But
year.
I mean, Nassib was doing the tutoring off the field, but Myles Garrett was doing it on the field, and I was kind of surprised to see that a little bit. How like he had that teaching kind of gene in him, and it'll be interesting to see. I said if he drafted a young guy at defensive end who was a freak physically, and maybe kind of give him a little bit a few tools to play with.
Yeah, Carl Nassib got signed by the Raiders for several years here. He had a really good season, last season here, but he ended up getting signed by the Raiders, which is interesting because that's also where Demarius Randall went. I wonder if there's any kind of team up there.
I don't think so.
We cut him though. I mean, he got signed for big money. Actually,
he went to Tampa for a year first.
Yeah, he was at Tampa. He got picked up off of the waiver wire for Tampa, and then he worked his butt off. And he got picked up with a really nice contract. Where is his contract at? $17 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, $25 million. 17 of it's fully guaranteed. That's a lot of money, man.
But if you double that, that ends up being like 250.
With incentives up to $28 million. So he went from being cut by the Browns to being signed for up to $28 million. That's pretty aggressive.
But if you invest that,
you invest $28 million over 10 years,
multiply it by 10 every year, and that's how compounded.
It's $3 billion.
I don't know if you guys remember. Carl Nassib's bit on Hard Knocks, but I think we're all confused on that finance lesson.
He was talking about mutual funds, I think.
I think he was talking about compound interest.
He was talking about compound interest, but no bank is giving you 10%. So we'll just remember that. Okay, so moving on here. Linebackers. There's a couple guys available. Nigel Burnham is interesting because he was with the Eagles, and we like Eagles players because we had Michael Kendricks before. And Nigel Burnham, I want to say he's like a Joe Schobert type player. He's not that great in coverage, but he's a good run stopper, and he makes a lot of tackles. I think he's an interesting guy. I think he's a veteran guy you could bring in at a small contract. You also could bring in Michael Kendricks because he also is available. I know we released him last time.
He did look solid before the
before the pending investigation for insider trading.
Yeah.
He's out there. Darren Lee's out there, and he's not a bad option. But
he's more of a special team.
You're not going to get a great linebacker in the free agency at this point. I think you're going to have to draft one. And I just want to see a guy who has got a nose for the ball and is athletic. I want an athletic linebacker.
Yeah, I want to see that he can fly around.
I think Mac Wilson's going to be your big time player though. I think they're hoping Mac is going to be.
I don't know if he has the speed.
Mac? I think Mac's fast, bro.
I think he's fast, but I want someone who's. I want someone who's like
someone like Deion Jones over Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
Deion Jones is the fastest linebacker in the league. So let's not try to compare him to Deion Jones because that guy's an animal. But if you want a linebacker, I think Mac Wilson's gonna be your middle guy.
I want the tall Joseph equivalent from the linebacker spot, and then I want a veteran linebacker, or maybe a veteran like safety who's also played at a hybrid position at the linebacker.
Why don't we just get Clay Matthews already?
Oh yeah, we can do that.
We just talked about that. I mean, Clay Matthews is still a guy you can get. I still think that's a great idea. I think you can get Clay Matthews and also draft a linebacker.
I just want someone to help teach Mac Wilson how to play the position. And to groom him so he becomes a quality backer.
I think he's
maybe if we have a linebacker
well on his
coach,
way to being a top tier linebacker.
I think what's our new scheme, by the way? Our defensive scheme, because the 5-2 did not work.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what it is either.
It's either 3-4 or 4-3. It's not the 5-2.
Yeah,
hopefully it's not the 5-2. Steve Wilkes brought that over when he came. He's no longer here with us.
He tried real hard, but it just wasn't.
He was supposed to be this coaching guru with players and help them progress. And reach their full potential.
We're in the 4-3. So if you look at the 4-3, you need to have a linebacker that's going to fly around in the middle linebacker position because he's going to be asked to do a little more coverage. I think Mac Wilson can play really nicely in coverage. I think he's a guy that has the speed for it and has the nose for it and can match up with guys like these bigger tight ends in the league. I would like to see. I mean, Sanoan Takitaki's going to get in there as well. But you're going to have to get a better linebacker still, and I think you're going to have to draft another linebacker.
Do you think he's a middle linebacker then?
You need more depth at that position because if someone goes down, you're in real trouble.
In a
4-3 scheme,
you're starting two middle linebackers too.
Yeah, you're going to have to have more depth at that position because that's if you have an injury, you're going to be in some real trouble. So you have to go, draft that position.
They definitely have
pick up another free agent.
You need at least two more linebackers at this point. Ideally another starting one to maybe pair with to Matt Wilson in the middle. So it's interesting to see if they'll address that early in the draft or they just grab a few later in the draft there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Buy or sell tonight, too. Want to get some buy or sell questions out here?
Oh, we do. It's not Plymouth sports related. But yeah, we have one. Are you... Well, I'll ask you this one. Are you buying or selling that the pandemic's peak is going to be in mid-April or beginning of May?
I'm buying
with all your expertise mentally and all that stuff.
I'm buying that my alcohol consumption will peak in May. That's when I'll be
middle of April.
I'll be peak alcohol consumed on those days. We're getting the grenadine out. We're getting some some mixers out here. I think by that time I'm going to be being an amateur bartender. I think that's my next move is I'm being an amateur bartender after taking an online course and serving myself throughout this pandemic. But no, I know what I just hope that at some point here we get back to the reality of sports. I know they met the other day. The Sports Commission met, and I know Trump also said that the NFL is still currently on schedule to start as planned, which is great. So I'm gonna buy that we'll have NFL football on time, and I'm gonna buy that my alcohol budget is the highest it's been since the start of the year.
Since you became 21.
Since I became that's a question right there. Have you consumed more alcohol during the pandemic or when you were 21?
During a toast of this stretch, rather than the course of since you've been 21.
I think when I was 21, I consumed probably more alcohol. I think that's probably true.
But what percentage? Is it the highest percentage per alcoholic beverage that you've had?
No, because I wasn't drinking good stuff when I was 21.
Yeah, so at this time, it's probably the highest.
I'm drinking higher, a more expensive version of alcohol now. And whether it's a nice craft beer or like a nice mixed drink, I'm not doing vodka from the gas station. Like where it's a different type of feel.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. All right. Well, I mean, for all of younger non-21 or older viewers, do not drink alcohol. We do not condone it. Underage drinking. For everyone else, please do it safely, but enjoy your alcohol.
Share what kind of drink you're making. I want to hear what drinks you guys are making out there. We do have a couple questions out there in the world here. The first question, is asking if we hoop. Like, are we ball players? And I think it's Sadie Go Bulldogs is asked the question. And if you guys know this, we absolutely hoop. Tim was a top tier high school player who led the Medina County in 3-point shooting, made the All-Star game. I also made the All-Star game my senior year. I played a little bit of college ball. I was in the free throw contest and the dunk contest my high school year. We frequently play in leagues in Strongsville, so you've probably seen us up there hooping. But we can absolutely hoop. So that's really our passion is to play some basketball.
A little bit less lately with the whole pandemic going on.
Yeah, my shot's gonna be garbage when we come back, man. I'm gonna be running up and down the court for about 5 minutes and be like, ugh.
I've actually been hooping a little bit. After I moved into a new apartment with my buddy, we've been playing kind of later at night games with not much light to see from. So this makes it kind of more difficult. But I was down 3-1 in a series of best of 7. Playing 15 straight, and it was an elimination game, so I had to lock in. I started out hot, but then he came back. I think it would end up being like it was 15 straight. So yeah, whoever had 15 first one. And I think he was winning 14-13 or 14-12. So so it was 12-14 or 12-13. He scored. I gave him the 1 instead of the 2. And then I hit this nasty step back in the dark, probably like it's all 30 feet out on the right wing, sidestepped over top of him. I couldn't even barely see. I don't even know how it went in. I hit that shot, win that 2 games, crush him, come back from a 3-1, and I don't know if he's been able to talk to me or look at me the same since.
To me, that's just rude, man. Out there in the dark, balling on people.
Yeah, I've been crushing him in ping pong. I've been beating him in basketball. For him, it hasn't been a fun experience living with me so far.
Well, it sounds like you're a great roommate.
So if you want to become my roommate sometime and lose all your confidence, then hit me up.
Or just hit us up if you want to hoop sometime. We're always up to Strongsville. So
yeah,
but we absolutely hoop. Also, Milner asked us a question. Milner's been one of our long time people that
Since day one.
Big time friend of the show and of our accounts. Really appreciate Milner's support. He asked us a great question here. He goes, "Who is an NFL player that you would draft regardless of need?" Honestly, I would draft the guy out of Louisville, the big time offensive tackle, Mika Beekton. Beekton's how you say it? Becton. He is freaking awesome. The dude's 6'7", 360 pounds, and he ran a 5.11 at the combine. If that doesn't tell you a lot, I'm just thinking of just awesome kick out blocks and just big time moments.
You see it as a tackle
to open up the running lanes for Chubb and for and for Kareem and for all that protection that Baker could use. If you could find out a way to get him, I would love it. I think even though it feels a need, he's massive. He's a huge dude. I don't think when you're that big, I think you really can move some people. They say his NFL potential is really, really high. They currently have him ranked, I want to say, as the 6th or 7th player in the draft right now. But I wouldn't mind grabbing him at 10 if he was available.
I think you have him on that slot 8 to 12.
He seems like a great fit.
We also looked at CeeDee Lamb on NFL Combine, as well as Jalen Hurts.
Interesting.
Quarterback from Oklahoma, and Jalen Hurts.
We don't need Jalen Hurts, but it is interesting that they're saying that.
I personally like the guy. I want to say Whiffs. It was also I won't say a tackle, but NFL scouts think he's better fit at Tristan Whiffs. Yeah, from Iowa. He's a tackle, but he has
guard though.
He has a speed and he's better fit as a guard. But I like him from the tackle spot. Like to be able to those kick out blocks, and you might be able to switch them out and put them at the guard, and maybe move someone else like Batonio or something like that over to the tackle.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
I would love him to pull. I would love a fast pulling guard.
Yeah.
I really liked when the LA Rams were good. They had Roger Saffold, who's just awesome. Who had speed and just always set up those great pulling blocks for Todd Gurley over at the Rams.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that, man. I like athleticism on my offensive line because I think when you have athletic guys, it gives you a little more leeway in times of pressure and in times of need where maybe it's an extra step, an extra push, an extra half a second. Those athletic big guys can really make a difference on a play. And you look at the NFL today, it's about strength and speed, athleticism. If you got the most athletic guy, you're probably going to win out.
And that makes a huge difference in a tiny little hole to a huge hole with a guy like Nick Chubb, who has that breakout potential every time we hand him the ball.
All you need is a little bit of room.
So you go from a plugged up hole to a little bit of space. He might be gone.
Man.
And really, I'm just ready to have a competent offensive line for both Baker and Nick Chubb.
The last offensive line that we had was really good was when Derek Anderson was playing.
We always talked about this with Eric Steinbach and Womack.
And Joe Thomas.
And
Alex Mack.
And who was it was Steinbach, and who was the right guard? There's one more.
Oh, was it
Stanley? Joe Stanley?
No. It was Schwartz. Mitchell Schwartz?
I think he was a white tackle.
Yeah, Mitchell Schwartz.
That was one of his first years.
Oh man, the amount of grief the Browns got for not signing Schwartz and Mack was unbelievable. But to better put that in perspective, neither of them were going to re-sign here. Schwartz may have if you gave him the right amount of money, but they did not want to give him that right amount of money.
I would have loved to.
Schwartz got a title now, doesn't he? From being in the Chiefs.
Either Chiefs or I think he was in Philly, maybe.
No, I think Mitchell Schwartz was the Chiefs when he won.
But I would love to sign Alex Mack. Either of them, they weren't financially feasible because we knew how bad the Browns were, and you need to cut salary cap and to start from the ground up through the draft. So it made sense, but it was just sad to see him go because Alex Mack is still one of the best centers in the league. I loved him in the zone run scheme. He's so good. His zone
Yeah,
blocking.
he played all
So
16
good
games,
zone
man.
blocking.
Mitchell Schwartz has played all 16.
To have that leader from your center position, that's super important.
Yeah,
He was
he-
a captain, I think, for us.
Yeah, Schwartz played all
long as I
16
remember.
games last year. He was awesome. Good for him winning a title. You got anything else? Tim,
And
you wanna?
Cam Irvin, too.
Yeah, Cam Irvin won a title too. Man,
he decided to suck for us, and then he said, "Oh, I'll try."
Do you know what the difference was?
A decent functional system.
Yeah, and coaching. Coaching is always a big difference. Yeah, when you got the proper coaches,
Wait.
you can make players with potential
Coaching?
be good. Yeah,
Helps. What?
yeah,
Okay.
it's underrated. I know in the NFL, but it really is important at some points.
But
you know,
coaches on the field, how do they help?
well, you gotta get your guys in the position to be successful, and the way that the Browns coaching staff has been since they came back in '99 has been pretty atrocious.
Oh, you
So-
mean like in steam to your players, not to your own?
Yeah, like we
system?
talk about, like the first coach that gets it right and takes the Browns to the playoffs again will be hailed for a long time because he's the one that fixed the whole thing.
He'll be the Boney Tosa equivalent to coaches.
Yeah, he'll be a long time favorite because he was able to bring the Browns back.
If John Dorsey wasn't fired and he had a good maybe a year or two more solid tenure, and then maybe he just decided that it was best to part ways. The next following year, we either made the playoffs or maybe won the last year he was with us, and then won the Super Bowl title. Would he also be known as that great GM before? Since in the new modern era, Browns.
Yeah, Dorsey dug his own grave because he signed up himself with Freddie Kitchens. When he signed Freddie Kitchens up, he signed his fate to that coach. And when Freddie Kitchens didn't work out, he was gone. It just was what it was.
Because he stuck with him too.
And there was too much power struggle in terms of Freddie Kitchens and Dee Podesta. So they ended up not getting where they wanted to go because he signed the dotted line for Freddie Kitchens.
And Haslam.
That was Dorsey's guy, man.
And Haslam. I think he just wanted. He's been a little bit.
Haslam's been
tentative.
terrible, man.
He's a little bit.
Haslam's tried everything and have gotten nothing right. He's one of those guys that thinks he understands something and has no clue how it works. He's like that annoying dude that's always in a conversation and is like, "Oh yeah, actually," and he has no clue what he's talking about, but he's the loudest mouth dude, so people listen to him and people take his stuff as fact. When all you need is one other smart person who understands the topic to come in and be like, "Yeah, actually, no, here's the deal," and that's who Haslam is. He's the guy who thinks he owns the room because he has the biggest pocketbook.
For the last year or so, I think he's trying to be like the Northwest Joey Jones over here.
It's humbling, man, when you get your ass kicked repeatedly. It really is. And I think at this point he's ready to he's really frustrated with how much work it actually takes to build a football team. I'm sorry, money wasn't the answer, and throwing things at the wall wasn't the answer. It turns out football guys know football. But what do we know? We've just been saying that since he bought the team. No big deal. No big deal. Anyways, before I punch a hole through my computer, I'm going to wrap things up here and just thank everyone for checking out the podcast, for the positive reviews. We definitely appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions for us or want some topics to talk about, we're going to be back here again, for your Wednesday edition. So give us a question on Tuesday and we'll definitely make sure we answer it on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your co-host, Tim.
And I'm your host, Mike.
And as always, everything in Cleveland is earned.
Doom, 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 doom.